Vienna, German Wien, the capital of Austria. Of the country's 9 states, Vienna is the smallest in area but the largest in population. Modern Vienna has undergone several historical incarnations. From 1558 to 1918 it was an imperial city, until 1806 the seat of the Holy Roman Empire and then the capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In 1918 it became the capital of the truncated, landlocked Central European country that emerged from World War I as a republic. From 1938 to 1945 Austria was a part of Adolf Hitler's Greater Germany, and Vienna became Greater Vienna, reflecting the Nazi revision of the city limits. In the decade following World War II, Austria was occupied by British, French, American, and Soviet forces, and Vienna was divided into 5 zones, including an international zone, covering the Innere Stadt. In 1955 the state treaty, by which the country regained independence, was signed with the 4 occupying powers, and Vienna became once again the capital of a sovereign Austria. Vienna is among the least spoiled of the great old Western European capitals. Its central core, the Innere Stadt, is easily manageable by foot and public transportation. In a city renowned for its architecture, many of Vienna's urban prospects remain basically those devised over several centuries by imperial gardeners and architects. The skyline is still dominated by the spire of St. Stephen's Cathedral and by the giant Ferris wheel in the city's chief park, the Prater. The city suffered heavy damage in the last months of World War II, and much rebuilding was done after the war. Nevertheless, the character of Vienna as a whole remains much the same as in the years before 1914. Vienna's art of living has survived changing rulers and times. It is still possible to live in Vienna at almost the same pace and in much the same style as it was a century ago. The same music is played in the same rebuilt concert halls, and a theatrical or operatic success still stimulates lively conversation. One can drink the same sourish local wines in the taverns on the outskirts of town, consume the same mountains of whipped cream at Such's and Dimmel's, and sample the same infinite varieties of coffee in countless cafes. Thick woolen suits and overcoats in shades of green, grey, or brown loden cloth and colorful dirndl dresses may still be seen. It is even possible for tourists, and for others on festive occasion, to ride in a traditional figure, the 2-horse carriage driven by a bowler-hatted coachman. Austria's capital has avoided many of the problems, financial crisis, social unrest, urban decay, that afflict other European cities. Its people enjoy an enlightened health and welfare system, which originated in the reforms of Empress Maria Theresa and Emperor Joseph II in the 18th century. A city of green parks with ponds, cafes, and playing bands, opulent stores, and elegant shopping streets, banks, bookshops, and crowded theaters, and boulevards for leisurely sauntering, Vienna is an invigorating distillation of human energy and imagination. Vienna is divided into 23 districts. At the core is District I, the Innere Stadt, which contains most of the city's famous structures. Surrounding the heart of the city is the Ringstrasse, or Ring, a circular road lined with grand buildings, monuments, and parks. Beyond the Ring are the inner districts. The many palaces, churches, embassies, and other buildings in this area are elegant, though generally less imposing than those in District 1. District 2 was the area allotted in 1622 to the Jews, who lived there until 1938. In this district is the famous 3,200-acre Prater, formerly the hunting and riding preserve of the aristocracy, but since 1766 a public park whose amenities include a stadium, fairgrounds, racetracks, and many restaurants. The center of Vienna is St. Stephen's Cathedral, one of the chief Gothic buildings of Europe. It incorporates remnants of the original 12th century Romanesque structure, which was destroyed by fire. Reconstruction began in the early 14th century and continued for a century and a half. The northern tower, never completed, was topped off with a Renaissance dome between 1556 and 1587. The cathedral was again burned and partly destroyed in World War II but has since been restored. The 20-tone bell, made from captured Turkish cannons in 1711, was recast and rehung with much ceremony. The vast complex of the Imperial Palace, the Hofburg, lies along the Ringstrasse. It consists of a number of buildings, of various periods and styles, enclosing several courtyards. The oldest part dates from the 13th century and the latest from the end of the 19th. The Hofburg abounds in magnificently appointed private and state apartments. It houses the imperial treasury of the Holy Roman and Austrian Empires, the Austrian National Library, the Albertina and several other museums, and a Spanish riding school. The state apartments in one wing of the Hofburg serve as the offices of Austria's president. Close by stands the Privy Court Chancery, where the Congress of Vienna met after the Napoleonic Wars. The other important buildings along the ring are mainly mid-19th century versions of earlier European styles. They include the Stock Exchange, in neoclassical Renaissance style, and the pseudo-Gothic votive church, built by Emperor Francis Joseph after he escaped an assassination attempt in 1853. Nearby is the University of Vienna, the oldest university in the German-speaking world, designed in the Italian Renaissance style. The university was founded in 1365, but its original buildings have disappeared. Another landmark is the City Hall, in Neo-Flemish Gothic with Renaissance touches, and facing it is the Burgtheater, in a mixture of Neo-Italian High Renaissance with Baroque indulgences. The neoclassical Parliament building lies adjacent to the Palace of Justice, built in 16th century German Renaissance style. The Neo-Renaissance Natural History Museum and the Kunsthistorisches Museum stand in front of an exhibition center, formerly the Royal Stables. Across the ring from the museums is the Hofburg's last extension, the New Hofburg, and eastward is the magnificent Vienna State Opera House, built in 1861–69. Purporting to be French early Renaissance, the State Opera is actually a conglomeration of imitative architectural styles, of pinnacles, arcades, colonnades, and heroic statuary, yet it somehow achieves a serene and noble harmony. On the eastern side of the Innere Stadt lies the city park, rich in monuments. The Innere Stadt and its immediate neighborhood are still, unlike the older parts of most European cities, the fashionable quarter, containing the government offices, the principal hotels, embassies and legations, and many other fine buildings. The Schönbrunn Palace, the summer residence of the Habsburgs, with its splendid rooms decorated in Rococo style, and its great formal park, lies to the southwest in the suburb of Hietzing. The people of Vienna. Before and during World War II, a number of Vienna citizens, most notably more than 1 lakh Jews, emigrated to the West in order to escape the Nazis. Following the war, Vienna's population decreased when part of Greater Vienna was reintegrated with the province of Lower Austria. There were also moves in population from Eastern to Western Austria connected with the German annexation of Austria from 1938 to 1945 and the presence of Soviet troops from 1945 to 1955. Altogether, Vienna's population decreased by approximately 15% between 1934 and 1951. With the demise of communist regimes in Eastern Europe in the late 1980s and early 90s, however, emigration to Vienna increased the city's population to more than 1,600,000, roughly the same figure as in 1900. Vienna has a disproportionately large number of elderly, most of whom live alone in the older neighborhoods. Characteristic of most major cities, however, Vienna's population is shifting outward to the periphery. Although Vienna has a low birth rate and a small average family size, new housing in the periphery helps to alleviate problems caused by the city's high percentage of pre-World War I residential buildings. The Vienna speech and accent reveals social levels and origins. It also demonstrates that the people of Vienna have in their time been governed by Romans, Italians, Spanish, French, Magyars, and Slavs and have absorbed Turkish and these words into their German tongue in a way that renders the original unrecognizable. Their speech is in many ways closer to that of their neighbors to the south and east than to the German north. Religion. Vienna is the seat of a Roman Catholic archbishop and a Protestant bishop. 2/3 of the city's population are Roman Catholic and only a very small percentage Protestant. The number of practicing Roman Catholics, however, is estimated to be only a small percentage of the population. Like other modern capitals, Vienna is highly secular. Vienna has a much higher proportion of high school and university graduates than the other Austrian states. Of the 12 universities in the country, 5 are located in Vienna: the University of Vienna, the University of Technology, the University of Agriculture, the University of Veterinary Medicine, and the University of Economics in Vienna. Other notable institutions include the Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, the Academy of Fine Arts, and the Academy of Applied Arts. There are also a Roman Catholic Academy, several scientific societies, and many research institutes, as well as the Venerable Austrian Academy of Sciences. Vienna's teaching of music, medicine, law, and the arts attracts many foreign students, who make up about 10% of the total student population.